Welcome to the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast, the place that brings together experts on what's now, what's new, and what's next in marketing for industrial manufacturers. Now here's the owner of True Focus Media and your host, Jeff Long.
Hi, Jeff Long with True Focus Media, and I want to introduce you to the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast. Now, this podcast is a unique one because I'm just going to go through, first of all, who I am, why I'm starting this podcast, what it will be about, and who it will be for. So future episodes will be in-depth interviews with other marketing experts, as well as other solo shows with me where we'll go in-depth into specific topics. But today, again, I want to talk about who I am, why I'm starting this podcast, what it will be about, and who is it for. So firstly, who am I? Well, I'm the owner of True Focus Media. I started my company in 2003, and I actually had two other business partners at the time. And we started it as a video production company and have a lot of good memories, some funny stories over the years, and maybe I'll talk about those in some of the episodes. But after a few years, we had companies asking us if we could update and improve their website. So we added web design and development to our services. So after a while, those became kind of our 1-2 punch, video production, video marketing, as well as web design, web development, things like that. But what we found was where those intersected was e-learning, was training, was some of this material. We had done a lot of video training, and because we could build websites, then we could build out learning management systems. And so the third leg of our stool is that e-learning and training. Now, one of the reasons why I'm passionate about that, or a few of the reasons, is both my parents are educators. And so I love teaching and educating. It's really who I am. And to be honest, it's a lot of how I position our marketing is who can we teach and help and influence through teaching. And so because e-learning and training combines our video and website knowledge, it's the third leg of our business stool. And I think it's very important and often an underlooked or overlooked aspect because it really meets a huge need for manufacturers to train employees, distributors, buyers, users, and so much more. So think about safety, new hires, setup, usage, tear down, wash down, troubleshooting, certification, and so much more beyond that. So that's just a little bit about, my company, what we do. Like I said, we do a lot of video marketing, web design, and e-learning. But, we've gotten a lot of different calls over the years for, some brochure, like 3D mock-ups to put on brochures, or some really innovative things to do with trade shows and helping market that. In fact, I just did a really cool photograph that we took of a big piece of machinery, and then we edited out all the people, all the stuff, all the things were a little unsightly, and then gave them a high-resolution version that they were able to print out for their trade show. So we do a lot of marketing from strategy all the way down to implementation. And by the way, those business partners, after a few years of starting the company in the early 2000s, they actually moved on to other opportunities. We're still great friends today. They're no longer in the area, but it was just a good opportunity. So I have a small team of experts that support in the industrial companies that we serve. So it's not just me, but I have a good team around me of those experts. Now, some personal interests and hobbies. I'm happily married and have 3 kids, and they definitely keep me busy. My kids love being outdoors and creating things, and so they're always trying something new, whether it's sports or music or just something experimenting with. We really encourage that. And then I've been to all 50 states as well as 5 continents, really through a combination of work-related trips. I've been all over the country with work for sure, family excursions, done some missions trips, and other fun opportunities that have taken me all over the world. In fact, I even met my wife on a missions trip to Africa, but that's a story for another time. So why am I starting this podcast, the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast? Well, this is actually my 4th podcast. I know the power of podcasting. In fact, my first one I started in 2009. And it was a video podcast. And this was really before YouTube was so prevalent. In fact, there were a lot of barriers as we were planning out, that video series. And so we would go to different local companies. It was called the Dayton Business Spotlight. We would highlight different businesses in the area using video and podcasting. And so it was a wonderful experience. And so I know the power of podcasting. I know how it's a way to, showcase your expertise, to invite other guests on to let them showcase their expertise. And so, I love industrial companies. And when I first started, I worked with a variety of companies, from lawyers to doctors to IT companies and manufacturing and so much more. But I found that I loved industrial manufacturers almost the most, right? They have tremendous growth opportunities to leverage marketing technology, but sometimes they don't know how to do some of these things. Maybe their budget restricts them, or they don't have a trustworthy expert that they know. And so knowing all of that, my history with podcasting, like I said, I've done 4 different podcasts over the years, as well as I've worked with, obviously, lots of different industrial manufacturers, from giant ones that are, well-known brands to small mom and pop shops. We'll talk about a lot of those and how to position your marketing no matter where you are in that spectrum. So what will this podcast be about? We'll have a mix of interviews with other industrial marketing leaders, as well as some solo shows where I'll dive deep into a certain topic, like why video should be the cornerstone of your content marketing, or creative ways to market your company before, during, and after a trade show. So some of those will be more topical. Some of those will be, what's going on, case studies of what I'm seeing working, and just giving you extra information that you can use. So lastly, who is this podcast for? Well, obviously it's for marketers at industrial and manufacturing companies, as well as other people that might want to listen in. My goal is really to showcase experts and give you, the listener, the viewer, ideas that you can use in your company. And I also have a potential way that you could use this. I know a lot of times you have ideas, you have things you want to accomplish. Maybe you run it up the flagpole to your boss or management or executives or whoever that might be, and maybe it just stops dead there. Well, I'm guessing some of these podcast episodes will align with some of the goals that you have, that maybe they haven't gotten the traction. You could take one of these podcast episodes, show that person or people that are higher ups, and maybe say like, hey, there are other people doing what we're wanting to do, and I really want to maximize those results. Take a listen, take a watch at this podcast. So that's kind of a goal of mine, is to help you be more informed and maybe, push some projects through the finish line that have kind of stalled out. Now, in the future, I would love for you to subscribe to, share podcasts. We'll talk about that later. This podcast will be on YouTube as a video podcast. It'll be on Spotify as a video and audio podcast, as well as other podcast platforms like Apple and a myriad of others. So whether you're listening to this or watching it, again, I would love for you to subscribe at some point. But that is just an overview of the Industrial Marketing Leaders podcast. I'll be coming back at you with fantastic interviews from other experts in the area. Keep coming back for more, keep listening and watching, and I know that you'll learn to be an even better marketing leader.